So I've been blessed to be at ARC for 6 years, but I've always wondered, how did ARC get started? How did you even get into treating sex addiction?
Well, that's an interesting story, so I'll be brief. But years ago, back in the late 90s, I wanted to create something where people could come and feel safe in their recovery. And I didn't know anything about sex addiction. And my good friend called and she said, let's go hear this guy named Patrick Carnes. And I'd never heard of Patrick Carnes, okay? But I enjoyed being with her, so I drove to Fresno, picked her up, and we drove down to Torrance to Del Amo, and he was speaking. This was back in probably 2001, maybe. And the minute I heard him, a lot of understanding came to me about the correlation between different kinds of addiction and the pain for the partners around all of this kind of stuff. So from that point on, I just followed Patrick around and got myself trained. And then I needed help because I put together this so-called program using Facing the Shadow.
I remember that.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Way back when.
Way back when. And I cobbled together something for the partners using Pia Melody's material,
Right.
okay? Doing the best job, but I wasn't happy with it, okay? And you came on board, and
Yeah.
we did the Facing the Shadow together, and it was successful.
It was very successful. Way before that, though, I remember when I was in Altos Christian Counseling Center, and I remember seeing a lot of the partners, the wives would come in with a lot of issues around their husband's behavior, and I had no idea what was going on. All I was thinking was, what a coincidence this is.
Yeah.
So somebody told me about Dr. Marianne Fifield, so that's when I called you, if you recall.
Yeah.
So
And-
about how long ago was that?
Wow, that was
Ballpark?
about 1998, 1999
Oh, wow.
is
Way
when
back
I,
then.
way back when,
Yeah.
almost 18 years ago,
Yeah.
Wow.
17, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I met up with Dr. Fifield, we had lunch and we started talking about what's going on for the wives. And suddenly the proverbial dots were connecting for me. It's like, oh, there's this piece that I don't have. And that's when I believe that you called me to go.
Come and join
Yeah,
me.
join.
Yeah.
And not only that, but also go and get trained with Dr. Carnes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's how I got my certification in
Yeah.
sex addiction.
And then one thing led to and now you're certified.
Correct.
But stepping back one step, we agreed that what we were doing wasn't as successful as we wanted it to be.
No, we were.
We were struggling mightily with it. And then our friend who runs the Lifestar program over in Sacramento gave me a call and she said, Marianne, I think I found what we've all been looking for. And it turned out to be Lifestar. And then you and I and Darren flew to Salt Lake City
Yeah.
and had a weekend with Dan and Todd and found out about what Lifestar was all about. And the thing both of us, all three of us, agreed was the fact that it had a program for the partners.
That's the thing I love
Yeah.
about what we do.
Yeah, it's just, because as you learned with those ladies that you were working with, they're in a world of pain. And to just ignore them was just not
True.
okay with any of us.
Right.
We were
So-
only focusing on the addicts
Yeah.
and groups for the addicts. And sure, they were getting all the help, all the tools, but they would go back home and their wives were neglected or
Yeah.
their girlfriends were
Oh,
neglected.
gosh.
No one was there to deal with their pain.
Their trauma.
Right.
Their trauma.
So were you CSATs by the time you came across the
I
Lifestar?
I was not.
was. But then
I was in the
both-
process with Darren.
Yeah, and Darren started it too. And so I was their supervisor.
Correct.
Very handy.
So that was what, early 2000, mid 2000s?
Yeah. And then along the way, we decided us to be an entity. So in 2004, we became a nonprofit. The Addiction Recovery Center became a nonprofit. And so then we could do a whole lot more because we could take donations. We offered the scholarship fund to people because that was very important to me, that nobody should be turned away for financial reasons. And so once we were a nonprofit, then we had an official board and we really started to move. And then other people came along and as we used to joke that we were building the train as we were barreling down the tracks and we'd find we had a need, so we'd create another car for the train,
Exactly.
like our couples coaching program. you know, we realized the couple needed help. Okay, we wanted to help the addict and the partner, but what do we do about the coupleship? How do we work to preserve the relationship so we could lower the statistics about divorce?
Right.
Okay, because I wasn't happy about that. So we created our whole couples coaching program. Okay,